feel it rooted to the earth, with faith and hope and love and trust, anything that has worth. And as the church bells ringing out noon, all the angels sing along in tune. Follow your heart as far as you can see into the blue. Yeah, follow your heart as far as you can see into the blue.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa, the Big Blend mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend magazines. You just heard Follow Your Heart. It's the first track on the album, Return-to-Goya Part 1. It's the 13th studio album and fourth major solo effort by Sam-Llanas, and he's formerly of the-bodeans. And go to his website, sam-llanas.com, and that's L-L-A-N-A-S, sam-llanas.com. It's the album's on iTunes, all those great places, and you've got to get it, and you need to go on a road trip with it, like now.
It's really good road trip music.
It is the best ever, and I feel like it's like the album. You listen to it, it's like putting on a jacket for the first time that you've known for years. You know how I'm about that. Like
my blue pants.
Yeah, you're in the blue pants, and I'll get like hiking boots. They're like finally you find the right pair of hiking boots that they're your friends for life, and. This album is like an old friend, and I love it, and we're so excited to have Sam with us on Big Blend Radio today. Welcome, Sam. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for having me. Can I just say one thing at the top, that the record is called Return-of-the-Goya, Part 1.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I've got
That's
it.
okay.
I've got it in my notes right here. Yeah, that is it. Everybody, Return-of-the-Goya, Part 1. There it is. No, you got it. Thank you for doing that. This is amazing because, like, to me, like, the album sounds like an old friend, and for you, this is part of that story too, really, of a guitar.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a long story, but it's true. It's like long ago, I had a guitar that was made by the Goya company, and it was just my favorite guitar ever, and it got stolen in 1987, and I never saw another one like it. In all that time, and about 2 years ago, this guy contacts me out of the blue. He said he found one, and he's going to send it to me, and he did, and it was like one of the happiest days of my life. I mean, it's not the same exact guitar, of course, but it's it looks the same, and it feels the same to me. And as soon as I got it, it was like like you said, the return of an old friend. And up to that point, I had no idea what I was going to name the record, but as soon as that happened, it was like, oh my God, this is the sign. There it is, Return of the Goya.
Yeah, it is, and it's the Goya. It is. I think there's something about instruments. Nancy and I both play instruments and had music in our life for since we were put on Earth, and I think there's certain instruments that become part of you. I know that when we lived in South Africa. When I got my first guitar, and then when you leave country, sometimes you don't get to bring things out with you, and
right.
And there's just like no matter what guitar I put in my hands, there was this guitar, and it was a cheap guitar. I remember it was like my first little guitar, but it made me learn because it was difficult. But then once I mastered this guitar, it was like that was my guitar, and then it's just never the same to me. I don't know. That I still have memories of that guitar, and it just to have to broaden out and play other guitars was definitely a good thing. But that one guitar was able to have like a Spanish vibe, like it was almost like playing an acoustic Spanish style guitar, but it had like steel strings. So it was a different kind of thing for me. That was.
Well, some instruments just feel right in your hands, They're all basically the same, but they're not, at the same time. And sometimes you find something that just feels right, and it's a good thing when that happens.
It's like when you're painting a picture and you have like your paintbrushes. sometimes I used to cut them up and make them the shape I wanted for certain things, because somehow you'd pay for them and some were sable and then you're like, oh, I really don't like that because it's an endangered species, and then you're like, okay, now you get these other ones, and then you're, man, I gotta modify them, and then it's like I can't paint without my brushes.
I know.
It's like, oh, I want
they're part of.
Yeah, and when you get a new set of brushes, they're like, okay, that's cool, they're new, but I gotta fix them. Gotta modify.
Yeah,
it's like that.
They're your baby. They're part of it. Now, do you name your guitars? Like, are they part of your family?
Well, this one is definitely part of my family. I don't really name my guitar, but it's
really?
certainly, it's here beside me pretty much all the time, you know.
I know that's a female thing. Like we name our cars.
No,
well, I just usually call it my baby. You know, this is my baby. Is
okay.
You know.
There you go.
Well, that's the name, sort of.
There you go. Yeah, you know that's your baby. That's your baby. That's cool. So this album, number one, even Follow Your Heart. Like I see dirt roads. Like we're very visual. You know, when you have a good album, you can do that, where it takes you on a journey. And the album to me is like it just feels like I'm listening to someone's life story. And I know at the end of our conversation here, we're going to play the song "Down the Line," which is very personal. It just to me tells us about you. That's what I immediately thought listening to it. But I feel like you're taking us into the back roads of America in some ways. Like listening to the album, like "Follow Your Heart," I feel there's dirt roads involved for some reason. But I want to take it like through. We're here in Tucson, Arizona, and there's some roads out by the border that your album would be perfect for. And then at the same time, I could go through Central California with some of the country vibes in there. There's different country styles that go with different regions, and I think your album has a collection of them.
Well, absolutely. That was by design. The reason this is part one is because I had a lot of songs, and my original idea was to release a double CD, or maybe even a triple, because that's how many songs I had. But
wow.
I knew that was going to take too long, and I wanted to have something out ready for the summer. So I decided to divide it up into parts, and I had a lot of songs that were really inspired by my love of old-time country music. So I put those songs together. I thought they would work well together, and that's why it's like that. So when part two comes out, it's not so country, it's more like people might expect from me, So this is just kind of a tribute to my love of that kind of music, and that's why it's part one.
I like it. It's you've got the country style, but then it's still you. You know what I mean? There's your signature sound. Yeah.
Well, for anybody who's really followed my career, I mean, country music has always kind of come up at some point. There's a song on our very first record called "Looking for Me Somewhere" that's very country, and that was, so it's not something new to me. It's just I've never released a record where I had that many kind of songs together that were in that style.
Now, I know that you also worked with T-Bone Burnett, and he has that grit in his style, doesn't he, too? Like, there's like, I remember when he worked with Ryan Bingham, and I remember listening to Ryan Bingham before he got put into, like, Oscars and everything for his soundtracks and everything, but there's a grittiness. And then it's interesting when you look at country music and your style of music, where you're telling a story. People can identify with it immediately, and I always think that's the mark of a good album. When you can start hearing it. I know when Gary sent it, immediately I'm like, oh, God, this is amazing. This is it. I just want to sit down all day and listen to this again and again. But T-Bone Burnett, he kind of has this knack of working with people and bringing that style out, too. What was it like working with him?
Well, it was a real nice experience. I mean, T-Bone, I think his real true talent is bringing the right people together and putting them in a comfortable situation, and then just letting them do what they do. I mean, he's not real hands-on all the time. Sometimes if something isn't working right, he'll step in and he'll make a suggestion, and it's usually a really good suggestion, and then he'll step back again. Maybe even leave the building for a while and just let the people do what they do. Because
that's nice.
Putting the right people together is a big part of the whole problem or challenge.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think
once you can do that, once you can do that, then you're in pretty good shape.
With this album, tell us about who you're working with, because it seems it just flows so well. I know that Gary Tannen, I've got to give a shout out to him because, like I said, he was like, "Hey, you've got to listen to this, Lisa." And first time we heard his work was with a gentleman, David Fitzpatrick, Parachutes and Hurricanes album, which we loved. And so he does great work. And so tell us a little bit about, because he mastered the album, right?
Yeah, well, Gary produced my the 3 albums I did prior to this one, and it was my idea to not work with Gary on this record just because I wanted something different. So we didn't really bring Gary in until the very end of this project. The mastering of an album is the very last step, and we even tried to have it mastered by a couple other people, but we weren't satisfied with the results, and so finally we had to go back to Gary and say, Gary, we need your help now. So, he was kind enough to do that for us. But I've been working with Gary for a long time, and he's very talented. He's got great ears.
Yeah, that's important. That's important. So, tell us about the band that you recorded with. I was like, you've got Matt Turner for bass. Kevin Dunphy for drummer. You got 2 drummers here and trombone.
Yeah, well, I've been working with Matt Turner for a long time as well. Excuse me. And I've been working with Sean Williamson for a long time. Kevin Dunphy, this is a strange thing about this record. When we started recording these songs, I didn't even know Kevin Dunphy. He lives in another state. But Sean Williamson knows him and has worked with him before, so he said that we should give this guy a try. And so what we were doing, which is a way a lot of records are made today, is like I would record a version of a song, just a simple version with me and my guitar, and then I would send it to Kevin in Minnesota, and then he would listen to it and he would send me back some drum ideas. And then I would pick the one that I thought was right, and then he would record the drums in his studio very professionally, and then he would send the drum track back to us, and then we would build upon that drum track. I never made a record like that before. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird for me, but it seemed to work out okay.
It came together it flows. I mean, to me, it sounds like that it's live, like you're sitting and watching people perform and listening and just you're there. And I think that's what's so amazing when you find albums and you hear like, oh, this is how it was recorded and put together. You're like, how did that happen? Because it just feels like you're sitting in at an amazing gig, and that you were lucky to be there, And then you get to take it home with you, you know what I mean? And you can play it, repeat, and play it again. Play it again, Sam. I mean, seriously. Yeah.
Well, that's a big compliment because that's the ultimate goal when you're making a record is to have it sound like you're there, like it is being played live for you. And it's very hard to do. Not all records come out that way, but we were lucky. I think that we just kept a good spirit on the record, and that helps a lot. Everybody was into it, and it was a very positive experience. And the music is very positive. I made 3 records in a row that were very kind of dark, and I was kind of in that place in my life at the time. But I wanted to step out of that. So this is my way of kind of stepping out of the darkness into the light with my music a little bit. So I wanted all the songs to be upbeat and to be positive, and all that contributes to the way this record came out.
I think that's important because people today, everybody seems so, we're divided, we're this, we're that, and things seem so ultra complicated. And it's really nice to just relax and hear a good song and play a good album and have some fun and go out in the sun and stop all the doomy, gloomy stuff.
Yeah. We need music. Music, I think right now music is our savior to what's going on in the world. Honestly, I think it's the one thing that's going to save things is music. I know that sounds crazy, but I believe it. I think that everybody needs that soundtrack to, like, okay, it's going to be fine, take a listen, get a rhythm, get some words in there, and especially when you have words that relate to people of what they're feeling now. That's an important thing, I think, when people can relate with the music. And your album, you can hear the words immediately and know exactly what's going on. You're an amazing storyteller. And I think that's key, that people can get it right there and not go like, okay, what the hell did he mean? You know what I mean? I think right now people need this. They need it.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you say. Music is one of those things that has the power to bring people together. Even if they're divided, politically or religiously or something like that. Music, makes people rise above those things, and you can just enjoy the music together. It's one of those things. It's much like a sporting event. At sporting events, strangers will be high-fiving each other because they're rooting for the same team. Music is a lot like that. It's a rare thing, but it's a very powerful thing, I think, and it's wonderful. You're right.
Yeah,
we need it. We need it. We need it desperately.
Yeah.
So when your toes start to tap into the beat, and you're like, wow, this is uplifting, this is fun. I think I want to dance now. You're not really going, well, this guy over here or this person over there is like a little down. So, it does. It spreads.
You're in the moment.
Yeah.
Music puts you in the moment,
right.
And it's like if you can't meditate, listen to music. Do both if you can.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Exactly. That's what music. A lot of times, that's exactly what music is for me. It's a sort of meditation. Sometimes I'm just alone with my guitar, just playing for myself, and it's my way of praying. It helps me out in so many times. In so many situations, you can turn to it, and it's always there.
Well, that brings me to Little Song in the album. You've got Little Song and then Little Song 2. And this, to me, could be like part of a play. Like this could be part of. I just see it like as a stage play, like part of a
rock opera.
Yeah, no, not a rock opera at all. But as a theater production of just part of some show. You know what I mean? I understand. Yes, getting up on stage musically, but I see it as like someone. Like almost like a monologue of someone getting up there and playing, and then you know what I mean. Tell us about the song because you got to explain because you know what I'm saying. Like I feel like someone's really telling you this story, but I feel like it could be part of an actual theater production.
Well, are you talking about Little Song 1?
Yeah, well, both of them kind of go together. To me, they do. It's kind of like this is what happens, and then this is like it's almost like Little Song 2 to me is like a mantra almost, like a country mantra.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Right.
You can have country mantra. I was like almost. I'm like, yeah, you can have a mantra in whatever style you want. Like open your mind. I'm just saying that to myself. But yeah, it's like a mantra.
Well, Little Song 2 definitely is like that. I come right out and say, this is how I pray. This song, by singing this song, this is me praying. I come right out and say that. Little Song 1 is just a fictional story I made up. There's a lot of truth to it. I really did grow up in a town called Waukesha, and there really is a river there called the Fox River. But I made the story up about the kid. You see there fishing all the time and all that. I don't know, somewhere along the line, I just became a storyteller. I never really set out when I started writing songs to say, okay, I'm gonna use music to tell stories, but it just sort of worked out that way. I don't know why. Just songs just come out that way. I think I like to, when I hear a song, I like to know exactly what's going on. So I'm very specific about what details in my song, and I like to present it that way. Some people don't. Like David Bowie's lyrics were kind of, you didn't really know what he was talking about all the time, but somehow it still made sense for him, to do it that way.
Well,
but everybody has a different style, and this is just the style that I developed.
And you've got heroes. I got
right.
it. You referenced David Bowie, and I know that you shared the stage with him. And then Heroes, you've got like a little vibe there at the beginning. I'm like, hello, there's a little David in there.
Well, I never heard it this way, but it's just, that my song Heroes was inspired by the Women's March on Washington. It's like I couldn't be part of that, but I thought, this is something that I can do. I can write a song trying to inspire people the way that march inspired me. It seems like people are taken to the streets again these days.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And me being of Latino descent, I witnessed a march. I was in Austin, Texas, and I was on my way to a gig, and the traffic was stopped by these hundreds and hundreds of people marching down the street, and it was such a beautiful thing to see. Really reminded me of a river, very positively flowing down the road there, and I was compelled to just join them, just for a block or two doing it. So when the Women's March happened years later, I thought, well, I'm not going to miss this opportunity again. I'm going to do something because it was so inspiring to me. I'm going to write a song to try to keep that feeling alive.
I think it's really important because people forget that we do have some sort of control over our lives, and that, we got politicians and we vote for them to vote for us, which, you might want to question sometimes because they don't seem to really do what you think they're going to do. So it's good to come out and say, hey, wait a minute, hello, people, we're still here, and we count. We matter, and all of us do. And so just remember, there's more of us than there are of you. Just saying.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's easy to forget that. It's easy to lose faith in the system, but people really need to get out there and vote because it can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. I think with your songs like Heroes, to me, it was such a positive song for people to hear because at the same time, like you think about the women marching, the men and women marching, the kids marching. Kids are out there marching.
Yeah,
and when they do that, they're putting themselves out there. I mean, if you look at Facebook, everyone's yelling at each other and calling each other names. It's like it's like high school. Like let's just go beat each other up, happening on social media. And then you get people who are just going out there, regardless of what's going to happen. They're going to go out there. They come home or get arrested, and then here it is, the media thing, trashing them depending on what channel you put on. People are going to trash them on their social media. Even friends and family are going to trash them. So when they come home from doing this, then it starts. And that's when the actual battle of protesting begins, or resisting and saying hello. And so I think that's the other big role of music is that, hey, somebody else hears me and wrote a song. And I think that's very important, that people who stand up for what they believe in, that they have something that they can fall back on that just goes, hey, I got a song. You know what I mean? It'll help them move forward because it's important to take a stand on, regardless of what you believe in. If you truly believe in something, stand up for it. And maybe you have to change your mind later if the facts are different or whatever. But standing up and doing what you believe in, that's our God-given right. We need to do that as human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this country, I think people, take it for granted because they've never been in a situation where they've been controlled by the government to that degree where they can't speak their mind, or they can't even vote, So yes, you're right. It's important to utilize those rights because we have them. We're lucky enough to have them.
You know what it's like not to be able to use the rights, and from living in different countries, you can't, but you're a productive person of that society, and
we call it the workaround.
Yeah, but you can't, you can do everything else, but you can't vote or do anything. And it was just such a, coming over here to this country and learning. We're both from America, but lived most of our lives outside of America. And coming back here, and people not understanding the privilege of voting, especially for women. The women got the vote last. It's like we need to stand up and do it. If you have that place to voice your feelings, your opinions, and educate yourself on it too, I think it's so important. I really do. It's everybody
absolutely.
Should. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now you have a soundtrack, people. Just saying. Go get Heroes. So I think we have to play Heroes. I want to play half of the album right now. I want to hey, can we talk about every song? That would be awesome. But are you cool with that, Sam? That we play Heroes?
Well,
I think people need to hear it.
Yeah. It's your show. It's your show. You can play the whole record if you want.
He's like, let's go. Hey, we'll play your music until the cows come home. We love this album, and really, I want to talk to you about road tripping because, like I said, I feel like the American landscape is within this, and I think that's a good thing. So everybody, here it is, Heroes, and go get the album again. You can go to Sam's website. It is sam-llanas.com, and let me get the album correct, Return-of-the-Goya Part 1. Go get it, and here it is. And I did get that right, Sam? Just making sure.
You did. Yes.
I hate being wrong. Hold on. Here, I do it every day. Here it is, Heroes, everybody.
1, 2, 3, and Heroes. We could be heroes. We could be heroes. We could be heroes. Well, they came together and stood as one. The whole world was watching. Something had begun. Heroes, we could be heroes. We could be heroes. We could be heroes. They opened up their voices. Out came a powerful song. Here we are and we ain't going nowhere, 'cause we're much too strong. Heroes, we could be heroes. We could be heroes. We could be heroes. Into a beautiful twister of mothers and sisters, of daughters, wives, and aunts, and grandmas too. I'm gonna pick myself up and dust myself off and get my shit together, no matter what the cost. Heroes, we could be heroes. We could be heroes. We could be heroes.
You're listening to Big Blend Radio. You just heard Heroes. Again, it's off of the album Return-of-the-Goya, Part 1. We're anxious about Part 2 and 3, hopefully 3 as well. It is by Sam-Llanas, and go get it now. It's out there. iTunes, is that the best place, Sam, for people to get it?
Well, really, the best place is to order directly from me because that way I actually see some money from the project.
I love this. So you're actually doing like the real deal. Like everybody could actually, can people actually send you like a check, like an actual check if they have one?
An actual check
anybody
or
has
cash.
A checkbook anymore?
Does anybody do that?
And I will send you an autographed CD. But if you can't do that, then you can get it from iTunes. But I really do not like iTunes or Spotify or any of those companies because they're ripping off the artists. They're keeping all the money, and it's atrocious, in my opinion.
Well, it's weird
true.
because they're talking about now like CDs are going out, vinyl's coming back, and it's going to be a choice between vinyl and streaming, right? So I don't know. Do cars not? I have my RAV4 just because she still has. Notice she does have a name, yes. Mulva. She has a CD player because, like when tape decks went out, I got really pissed because I love making mixtapes and stuff, and I love just getting that. Then I had to get into the CD thing. Then I got I can still make a mix. I know you can do it with all the other stuff, but it's not the same to me. There's something about the actual physical component going into the machine. I don't know how to explain it.
It's also, because it's secure. It's not like online. If you're ever driving somewhere and you're not online anymore, like on whatever that brand is, but like you crash and maybe there's you can't actually access. Dude, I'm just saying I like things you can physically see and touch as opposed to it's in the cloud. Great for the cloud.
Right. But somebody made that point. It's like when you have a download, you don't really own it. It's not something that you really possess. It can go away. So a lot of people I think do. Yeah, a lot of people I think still do want a physical copy. They do want to hold something in their hand.
Yeah.
I think those are the older people. But still, there's plenty of people in our generation left.
Well, how about this? How about download your food?
Yeah. Well, now people are getting their food in a box that's getting delivered so that here's your ingredients. That's where we've gone.
It needs to come right out of your computer then.
I know. No, but I think there's something, like if we could have vinyl for a car, that would be cool. Like, okay, so if I want to know from you, like take your album on the road. You're going to do a road trip. I want to know. I always ask people the road trip question because, when it's a road trip worthy. This is road trip worthy for sure. I can't wait. But I want to know are you in a truck? What kind of car? I've never asked anybody this, but I, for some reason, have a vision of like an old, like, I don't know much about cars, but it's like maybe like an F-150 or something. Like, am I getting that right?
No, I'm thinking Chevrolet
like
with
a
wings.
Ford, like a turquoise
that's a truck.
I don't know.
An F-150 is a truck. There's a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you have?
Yeah, that was my mind.
No.
But what's in your mind? What are you driving on your road
Well,
trip?
I have an old car. I mean, not that old, but it's about 18 years old. It's an Audi car. It's pretty beat up now, but it's still running.
Cool. See,
and
I like that.
That's the car that I actually wrote the song "Follow Your Heart" in. I mean, I had the melody already, but I was literally driving, along the lake in Wisconsin on my way home from a gig. And the words just kind of came to me. I just started looking around me, and I was driving past farms and fields, and it just sort of all came to me that afternoon. So,
my grandmother had a Chevrolet with wings, and I don't know how to explain wings, but they're like above the tail lights.
Yeah, people.
They call them fins. They call them fins in this country.
Oh, there you go, fins. That's right.
Right. Okay, we call them wings, but I loved that car just because it had those, and I just remember that, and because of that car, I got all involved with helping a club restore vintage cars, and I was like, but where are the wings? And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, there's classic versus vintage. But so Sam, welcome to like two women on a show now suddenly wanting to get into cars. Like I had no idea this was going to happen. I'm just saying. I had no idea. But there's something about that. Does driving around give you inspiration for your songs? I mean, when you say follow your heart, does that happen often, that it's driving, or is it just like things just pop in your head all the time?
Well, it doesn't really happen when I'm driving, that often. Songwriting is a weird thing. You never know when it's going to hit you. It's like any art form. It comes when it comes, and you can't make it come. As hard as you try, you just have to be open to it happening and be there. So like every day I pick up my guitar and I say, is this something going to happen today? And a lot of times it doesn't, but sometimes it does. And so you just, it's my job. It's my job to be there, in case it's happening. I don't really have a formula for songwriting. I don't think anybody does. If you could write a formula for it, you'd be a very rich guy. It's just one of those things. It comes when it comes.
Yeah. Creativity is like that, and it's creativity is such a crazy thing. We battle it all the time here because it's like sometimes you're in a super creative mode, and then how do you do everything? How do you make it all happen? And then it's like, it's like you already envisioned 3 albums of this, and I'm glad, like, come on, I'm ready for the next one. But that's that thing. Sometimes you just go into you just start writing a whole bunch.
Well, I mean, you try. Like I say, sometimes you don't write anything for months, and then like for instance, when I got this guitar back, I mean, it caused this tremendous creative spur in me. Like I wrote about 12 songs in a week.
Oh,
it's like that was just tremendous. It's like, oh my God, wow, another idea, and oh my God, this is working, and I couldn't believe it.
It's the magic guitar.
So like I said, it just comes when it comes, and there's nothing you can do about it when it's not there, except wait. I think you have to learn to appreciate when it is happening and when it's not happening, and when it's not happening, you have to just accept it and just wait a while.
Yeah, I
and
think you got to
speaking of part 2, I mean, we're almost done with part 2. So part 2 should be available by like September, something like that, September, October.
Oh,
so
you got to keep us posted. Please do, because this is, to me, like, I think that I see that Nancy always goes into rock opera mode, but
I do.
I mean, this is not rock opera.
Because I see videos.
But I see, we're very visual with your music. Like, I see a play.
Exactly.
I just feel like a play something has to happen where you're sitting with the audience and telling the stories of the songs. I just see it. I think you have a production coming. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not the fortune teller around here. We have one, but I'm just saying.
Do you want me to come in and tell you?
Mama Babushka. Mama Babushka.
No, I think you'll take pen and paper, and you got writer's block. You go outside, do something very new, just eat something you'll never eat before. Yeah, you get the music.
New or nude?
New.
But no, I think I would love to see something like that, because I think there's something where connecting with an audience, I know performing live, absolutely, but it would be so cool to see you just sit down and talk to people and do that kind of like a thing. I don't know. I'm just saying, listening to your music and talking with you, I would love to see that happen. So I'm just putting it out there into the universe, because you never know what could happen.
well, sometimes when if I do a show that's just by myself, it's a lot like that, because people do like to hear the stories behind the songs and listen to you talk about the creative process and all that, because a lot of people, that's very foreign to them, and they wish they could do that, but they can't. So they're very drawn to people who can do that, and they like to hear about it.
What got you started in music in the very beginning? Was it the guitar? Was it singing? Because your harmonies are in just so intricately gentle, dynamic, and sensitive. Like that's harmony to me is one of the most important things. Whether it's harmony between instruments or harmony between voices, that when you leave the ego out, there's no ego in your harmonies, in that the ego stands in the song that you hear, if that makes sense, where that's, let the song be the song. So what was it for you? Was it the songwriting, the singing, the words?
It was just the sound. The sound and the power of music in general. I mean, it's always been the most dominating thing in my life, from the time as far back as I can remember. When I was like 2, 3 years old. You know, I mean, listening to my dad play Hank Williams records and stuff. I remember just being drawn to it and just like literally standing above the record player and watching the record go round and round and round and just being mesmerized and wondering like, where is the sound? How is the sound coming to me? And why do I feel this way? And, you know, and also I remember, you know, the first time the Beatles were ever on American TV was February 9th, 1964. And my birthday is February 8th. So I had just turned 3 years old. And I can remember very, very clearly about how the older kids, how excited they were that day, and everyone was running around, and then all of a sudden everybody was in front of the TV, and then all of a sudden these guys were on TV, and people were screaming, and it was like, wow, what is this? You know, and it really, really affected me very strongly. And then from then it was just the radio. I listened to the radio constantly, and that's where I developed, I think, you know, that's where I learned how songs worked. You know, and okay, you got this part, but then it changes, and then sometimes it changes again, but then it goes back to the original part. And at a certain point, I started singing along. You know, after I've been doing that for a while, I started to make up my own parts, and I think that's how I developed, you know, my skill as a harmony singer, because I sang along with all the greatest singers in the world. You know,
that's interesting. You know, back in the day. We had a band, and I'm a blues singer, blues rock singer, and did some harmony on country stuff, and that's how I learned that just because you think you're this, you can go into these different styles. And country is what taught me harmony. It was interesting to me, like that was it, and having to work with different people and back down because of a very loud. I'm loud. Can't help it. But
I'm
just
too.
like, you know, I'm just one of those, just like everything comes out, like that's it, you're going to get this. But as harmony, it taught me dynamics, and that's what I think is so, when listening to your harmonies and just like that's to me now, I've learned so much just listening, and I think that's key when you said that. Listening is everything in life, just listening. You'll learn so much.
Well, it's the best way to learn, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does take an open mind.
Oh yeah.
And I feel really sorry for people who don't have the wherewithal or the ability to open their mind.
Or knowledge. And someone doesn't knock on their door.
I only listen to this kind of music. I only eat this kind of food. I only do this. Oh man, come on.
But it's,
you know, take a chance, do something new.
Well, that's a thing where that's why we're the blend, Nancy. I just got to give that a shout out because that's the truth. It's about not pegging everything, because I know that this is country influenced, right? But I don't hear it.
Opera,
yeah, I don't know. I don't say it's all country, like, but you've got some like Rio. I want to talk about that. Oh, and All Alone Again, like, oh, dude, seriously, I felt bad. I was like, dude, yeah, I know, I've been there.
Well, I think we've all been there.
I know, and then then you've got the guitar coming in like, wah, and I'm like, wah, you know. But and then Rio, just to me, that talk about harmony at the end there, that was just amazing. But Rio, just that, it was interesting when you think about that song going with this kind of raw, kind of rockabilly-ish edge at the beginning, and then at the end here you're going into these harmonies. It's an interesting song. I love that song. I have a thing about just the name Rio anyway.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean. It's like, Nancy knows about me and Rio. But anyway, tell us about Long Way Home. This has got some, this to me, I feel like I'm on the border.
Well, I don't know what to say about it. It just came out one night. I was just sitting around, and all of a sudden I was playing that rhythm and and those chords, and and it just came out. I really don't know, and it's just really about a guy who's trying to get home, but I don't think he's ever really going to get home. My favorite line in the song is I passed another exit sign. It's a long way home. You know, I don't. You know, sometimes I think about the guy's really a ghost. You know, and he's just driving. And then he's tired and he wants to. Or what?
Maybe he doesn't want to go home.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know.
Maybe.
You know, and that's another thing with music is I don't like to try to explain it too much because everybody hears a song and they have their own idea about what it is, and everybody, you know, and it's right. If that's what you think about, if that's what you think that it's about, then it is. You know, it doesn't matter what I think it's about. It matters what you think it's about and how it makes you feel.
So we still want you to do a play, though.
No, yeah. I can only call it rock opera. You know, I'm not talking about style of music. I'm talking about a rock opera, just like a musical production.
Yeah.
Not like
you don't have to wear a frilly vest or anything.
Music Man or something like that. A little edgier.
No.
Not that I don't like that, people. Like the Music Man, you know, that's so many years
I think
ago.
What it is that you have sense of place.
Yeah.
You have sense of place.
You could put it, you could totally do a stage production. I'm just going to call it rock opera, sorry.
Okay, but Sam, if you're going to take a road trip with your album, where would you go? Where would you start?
Where would I go? Well, it's hard to, you know, I think ask musicians where they would go. Because they're always going. You know, I spent most of my life going. So the thought of going somewhere to me isn't that appealing anymore.
You're done. You're like, that's it.
Staying at home is much more appealing to me these days than going anywhere. But you know, I like when I am driving. I like to be on a empty road, somewhere where there's an empty road and you don't have to worry about too many cars. You know, you can just really enjoy driving and the scenery and the music that's on, and you know that would be enjoyable to me. You know.
I agree. Like freeways are crazy. I mean, why don't we just get out there and go kill ourselves?
I always thought that they should have a separate system of roads for trucks, like so that we're not in the same thing. They need to go in another place, like the big truck, like the lorries. Yeah,
the delivery trucks.
Yeah, those big things.
Because you can't see beyond them.
The big vehicles.
Big trucks should be on one side. The crotch rocket motorcycles should be way ahead of you because they're too loud. And then there should be like the road for you just want to see the birds, plants, and sunset, sunrise.
Okay. On a trip now. Thank you. I told you got us into road trip mode, you know. Down the line, to me, this is like I think this is really, truly the song that made me think like, okay, this needs to be a production. Because to me it's like a biography of a singer.
Exactly. That's what it is, you know, and it's infused with my experience, but it's also infused with, I think, with universal experiences of many musicians because, you know, everyone's career has ups and downs, and you got to go with the flow, and you got to keep moving. You got to, you know, you can't let, you know, a failure stop you. You know, everybody fails sometimes. You know, you can't let that stop you. You have to keep moving forward. You know, even if you don't want to, time goes by.
I love this song because I just think it's so real and raw, but it, you know, with dynamics. You know, it's very honest and authentic. You know, listening to it, and we're going to play it. But before you go, I want to know what it's like to live in Milwaukee. I don't know what's going on in Milwaukee, but it sounds like it's like a little musical hub of happiness. Is this like an upcoming music scene, or has it been one for like gazillions of years, and we just, you know, need to grow up and get up there and learn about it? What's going on up there?
Well, I think right now is a good healthy time in Milwaukee for music. You know, I think every place goes through ebbs and flows of, you know, this is a good time. There's a lot of great musicians around now, and then it goes away after a while, and then it returns. I think Milwaukee's in a good spot right now. Milwaukee is a good place because it's not a big city, you know, so you don't have those kinds of problems like with traffic. You know, I think the worst traffic jam you'll have in this town will set you back like 10 minutes, you know. But it's big enough. It's got a nice city feel, but it's not too big, so you don't have to wait all the time. We go somewhere for dinner, you don't have to wait. If you go see a movie, there's not long lines and stuff like that. It's really bearable that way.
Nice.
People are friendly. I don't know. It's home. I was born around here, and you don't really get to choose where you're born, so it's just where I'm from.
Nice. Are you going to travel with this album, or are you going to?
Well, we're trying. We're going to try. Right now, I'm mostly just playing around regionally, but it would be nice to go to some other places. But we're working on that right now.
Right on. Everybody, again, the album is Return of the Goya, Part 1 by Sam-Llanas, and go to his website, sam-llanas.com. So it's SAMLLANAS.com. That's where you can get it. Do it old school way,
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. Let's get, be direct, be connected. He's also on Facebook and Twitter. Connect with him there. And you can watch videos on YouTube and all that. But seriously, if you can, just go and order directly off of it. I love it. So sam-llanas.com. We really appreciate you joining us. We appreciate and love your album. And it's been a real pleasure chatting with you, Sam. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It was enjoyable. So.
Thank you. And let's go march. Next time we see you, we'll talk with you. We'll go see you in person. We'll go march somewhere, okay?
We'll take to the streets. All right.
That's it. We'll have a flag. I want a flag that says heroes, right? That's it. We have to have a heroes flag, and that's what we'll do. Right? We'll do that. Everybody, we're going to play Down the Line. We got to give a shout-out to today's sponsor, which is the National Parks Arts Foundation. They create unique artist-in-residence programs in park units within the national park system. So artists, musicians, poets, writers, military veterans, they have a special program for you, too. You could be staying in Gettysburg for a month. You could be staying in the Dry Tortugas and Florida Keys, the Hawaii volcanoes. Truly, we just interviewed an artist on that while the volcano is happening.
That's interesting.
But, yeah, there you spend a month in a national park unit and get to create. It's an amazing program. Go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org. And we're going to play Down the Line. Don't forget, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. You'll see our entire schedule there. We air Sunday through Fridays. Thanks again, Sam. And here it is, Down the Line.
1, 2, 3, and... When I started on this musical road, very little did I know, but I was happy to be moving down the line. And I always played it from the heart, and I found a way to make it spark. And I left them smiling, moving down the line. And you gotta keep moving on, and you gotta write another song, 'cause that's the fuel that gets you farther down the line. Yeah, I was born with the soul of a loner. I like to drink and I'm kind of a stoner, and my heart, it takes a beating every day. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep moving forward. Yeah, I gotta keep moving toward whatever's waiting for me down the line. It's hard being away from home, but I made my choices long ago, and I've been happy living, moving down the line. There's been a bump or two along the way, but that's par for course, I'd say. And I attracted to danger, and I wanna kiss you before I know your name. Yeah, I'm gonna keep moving forward. Yeah, I gotta keep moving toward whatever's waiting for me down the line. The hardest thing that I've found as I move from town to town is that there's no lonely like lonely down the line. And I've made so many mistakes that I can only pray that there's forgiveness waiting for me down the line. Yeah, I was born with the soul of a loner. I like to drink and I'm kind of a stoner, and my heart it takes a beating every day. Yeah, I'm gonna keep